Hey, I'm Wally Adamczyk, president of Firestarter Speaking and Consulting, and welcome to another edition of the Wednesday Word of the Week, where today we're going to talk about noble. A noble person attracts noble people and knows how to hold on to them. The words of Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Noble, of an exalted moral or mental character or excellence. Lofty, admirable, in dignity and of conception. The opposite would be unimpressive, mean, vulgar, ignoble. You would not typically think of noble as a characteristic of leadership. I say this because I firmly believe that leadership is not a title or a birthright. It's an action and a relationship. When we look at the definition of noble and we see exalted character and admirable expression and execution, sounds like what we need in a good leader. When I think of the word nobility, I think of the nobility as a class of people distinguished by their birthright, these blue bloods. In Europe, they would be the dukes and duchesses and barons and baronesses, but some of these people have led with great distinction. They have led nobly, some have not. An unattributed quote emphasizes this point. I have seen soldiers panic at the first sight of battle, and a wounded squire pulling arrows out from his wound to fight and save his dying horse. Nobility is not a birthright, but it is defined by one's action. What actions then should we look for? What does it really mean to be noble? And can nobility be a leadership trait? Absolutely. Perhaps it is as simple as the distinction between class and crass. I don't think that anybody would dispute that legendary UCLA basketball coach John Wooden was a class act. He taught you can't live a perfect day without doing something for someone who will never be able to repay you. He made everyone around him a better person and instilled in them a desire to excel. The noble leader does not disparage others and doesn't take the cheap shot. In our soundbite society where the sharp reply gets the headlines, it's difficult to picture the better leader being the one to hold his tongue. Sarcasm and put-downs may work in comedy clubs and locker rooms, but they don't work in the workplace. This would extend to profanity. Now, I can confess I am not an exemplar in this, but I hope to live up to the expectation of my father, who asked me once when he heard me drop a few choice words, do you talk like that in front of your girlfriend? Why would you do that? You have an education and are better than that. Ouch. Still working on it, Pop. Sorry. James V. O'Connor, author of Cuss Control, writes, the problem with foul language is we use it too often. Failing to communicate clearly, ignoring sensitivities of others, and damaging the perception we want people to have of us. Foul language isn't the worst thing you can do, but you can do better. To curse is human. To curse a lot is to be ignoble. At the end of the day, it's just plain lazy. Riccardo Muti, an Italian conductor now serving as the 10th music director of the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. There are books and classes on what we can learn about leadership from an orchestra, but Muti writes, nobility of spirit has more to do with simplicity than ostentation. Wisdom rather than wealth, commitment rather than ambition. But how do you know if you have the nobility we discuss? Give yourself the 5 friends test. Take a look around at who you would consider your 5 best friends. Although each one is unique, as a group they will share certain traits and characteristics. Their traits are your traits. If you don't like what you see, you may need to find some new friends. There is nothing noble in being superior to your fellow men. True nobility lies in being superior to your former self. Elijah Wood. Let's jumpstart nobility here. There's a couple ideas for you. Dress the part and speak the part. Learn to shake hands and make meaningful eye contact. Maybe a fist bump these days. Take the 5 friends test. What is your higher purpose? And read Lions Don't Need to Roar. All right, let's take a look at nobility in action. Robert A. Kinsley, Bob Kinsley, the founder of Kinsley Construction, passed away in 2020. It can be difficult to characterize men like him, but the phrase, "he was a great American," is a good start. His rise to prominence is a direct result of his hard work and his respect for people. At 5'7"-ish, he cut a wide swath with his passion and his presence. Founded in 1963, his company began as a subcontracting firm in the concrete trade. 2 years later, site excavation, paving, and utility installation services were added. In the 1970s, the company entered the general contracting market, yet retained its own tradespeople. Steel erection was added to the list of services, and then Kinsley Manufacturing, which has become one of the largest and most efficient steel fabricators in the Mid-Atlantic. Kinsley ranked in the top 200 of the ENR top 400 and continues to excel. Even with 5 highly competent sons running the business today, who are now all responsible for the family business and extensive holdings, etc., Bob remained an active chairman. From a humble beginning, he rose to a place of prominence in the community. Although he was a builder, he was also a conserver. He recognizes the importance of economic growth of his community while understanding the importance of conservation and preservation. Once, when touring a large job site, he noticed that 2,600 evergreens would have to be cleared for a utility right-of-way. At that moment, he hatched the idea to give every employee a potted Christmas tree for the holiday. While he will always be known for Kinsley Construction, perhaps his greatest legacy beyond his family is at the new museum at the Gettysburg National Military Park. Recognizing the need for a modern yet reverent tribute to that turning point in our history, Bob and his wife Ann got to work. Through countless hours, dollars, and struggles, the museum is a shining new reality. While it may have eventually been built without Bob, the fact that Bob was involved ensured it got built sooner. He was involved in every phase of the project, from concept to funding, design, and dedication. He understands that Gettysburg was more than a battle. Historians have come to believe that this was the most defining moment in the history of our nation. It impacted lives across our nation, and he wanted those stories to be remembered. There aren't many people who build great construction companies while giving Christmas trees as gifts to employees while helping our nation get a new museum. There are some noble people who do, and Bob Kinsley was one of them. All right, time for the journal. Get some notes. A to Z application on a scale of 1 to 10. How do you rate on nobility? Are you more class or crass? List someone you know who exemplifies this trait, and why did you write them down? Ooh. List your 5 friends and 5 traits in them that you admire. And what one thing will you do different to improve in this area? All right, there you have it. Construction leadership from A to Z, 26 words to lead by. I look forward to seeing you next time when we have the Wednesday word of the week. In the meantime, subscribe. I look forward to seeing you soon. This is Wally Adamczyk. Have a great day.